Hi, this is David Wicks, Director of Instructional Technology at Seattle Pacific University. And in this screencast, I want to talk to you about the use of iTunes U. And so we're going to answer four questions about iTunes U. The first question is, what is iTunes U? The second question is, how do you access it? The third question is, what's it for? What's available on it? What are the resources that we can find there? And finally, the fourth question would be, how can you actually use it in your teaching? So let's get started. First of all, iTunes U is a part of iTunes, and it was developed by Apple as in partnership with learning institutions around the world as a free resource where institutions can share video and audio content and even ebooks with other institutions for free, or anyone in the world for free. How do you access it? Well, first of all, you're going to need iTunes on your computer, and many computers either come with it or people already have it downloaded because they're using iTunes with their iPhone or iPod Touch or um, possibly even their iPad. But if you go to Apple's site, apple.com, and just go to iTunes, you will see the ability to download the application, download iTunes, and you can download that for free and install it on your Mac or PC, and then open the app once you have it installed and you're ready to go. So if we now switch to looking at iTunes U itself, this is what the Apple Store looks like. There's a link on the left side when you open up iTunes, and clicking on that link will get you into the iTunes Store. And across the top are the various types of stores that they have available. And we want to go to the iTunes U store, so we'll just roll over here and click on this. And that takes us into the iTunes U store. And on the home page of it, they have featured content. So it's a good place to just come and take a look at some of the exciting things that institutions all over the world are doing. On the right side of the screen, you will the ability to choose categories. So depending on what your discipline is, you can click a link and you can actually go to a home page for your discipline, where once again there's featured content for your discipline. Up at the top is a little back button and a forward button that you can click on, that you can choose to navigate around once you're in iTunes U. Once we're back on the home page, we see underneath the categories we can actually choose different institutions. So if you want to find out what a specific university is doing, you can select that by this list, and there's now hundreds of them. And if you're interested in Seattle Pacific University specifically, you can see how to get access to that. Right here, Seattle Pacific University, and clicking that link would take us to Seattle Pacific University site. I'm going to show you a different way to get to SPU's content in a minute, but let's go back now. I'm just going to click the back button again to get back to the home page once again. So I'm clicking it a couple of times to get there. And under universities beyond the campus, so these are resources from different educational institutions that are they're not universities, and they're not um, K-12 institutions. So these could be public television, public radio, they could be museums, but you'll see lots of resources here as well. So I'd encourage you to check that out. And then below that is the K-12. So if you're interested in what various K-12 groups are doing, this isn't typically just a single school district. It's more like a state initiative, but you can see various resources that are available that are being supplied by K-12 institutions. Below that then is a power search, and this currently I think it works okay, but I wouldn't consider this the most reliable search tool to use, and that's not necessarily Apple's fault. When institutions add content to iTunes U, they have the ability to provide metadata for that content, and in some cases they don't provide any or very much or the appropriate metadata. So there needs to be some tightening up of what the expectations are on metadata. But if you wanted to find somebody's content, you could type in their last name. And here now we can see the various ones. So it's giving us what it considers to be a few of the top ones that it has. And then if we click see all, we could see all that were included under that type of a search. And you could look and see if you saw a specific one that you're interested in. And in this particular case, I may be just skipping over it, but I'm not seeing the one that I'm actually looking for. So this is a good example of what I'm talking about. So maybe we'll type that into the title. Okay, so once I type that in as a title, and this is the other issue with this, is there's 3 fields there, and I would have thought that in the description it would have had the professor's name, and here's the one that I was actually looking for. So once I found the content by the professor that I was interested in seeing, I could click on that link. We can then come in and review the content, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I just want you to see how you possibly could do a search for content. But let's now go back to iTunes U, and I've been using these arrows to move back and forth, but notice also there are these breadcrumbs. So if you're in an institution's content and you want to go back to the institution itself, you can click the link for the institution. And if you want to go back and see all of iTunes U, you can click the breadcrumb for iTunes U, and it'll take you all the way back. Now, once here, again, I think we've covered all of these pieces. There are also the top charts. So if you're interested in seeing what's the most popular, these are the top downloaded collection currently. Is a list here, so we can scroll down and see that. And so a collection would be a group of podcasts on a similar topic. Consider it more like an album. And then there's also downloads in terms of the actual what is the most popular file. Anyway, there's a lot of content here. There's a lot to absorb. You know, so far what we've covered is we're getting a general idea of what iTunes U is. We've seen how it can be accessed. We're seeing what's on it, and now we want to talk about how you might use it. And to do that, let's look at it one more way to get into iTunes U, and we're going to go back to the browser. And if you type in the URL for Seattle Pacific University, spu.edu, and then include / and just iTunes, hit enter, that will take you to the iTunes U page. And on that page, there's several things. I won't actually go into these, but there's a blog where as new content is added, there's someone that is blogging about featured content. There's also a Twitter feed to let people know whenever there is new content. And then there's just a launch button here. So clicking this launch button will actually take you back to iTunes U, but it will take you directly into it. So if you don't even have iTunes open and you want to go to SPU content, going to the web page would get you directly here. So if you wanted to use some of this content either as part of a course or for your own studying, you can just go to one of the links that's listed. There's feature content. On this page there's what's new. You can also see the top downloads. But below that are courses if you want to see all the courses that have content, and all the collections. So if you click, you could scroll through all the possible collections. And again, consider collections like albums of content. So once you've found possibly what you want, so let's just say here's Ben McFarland's biochemistry course, and if I click that link, I can see all the podcasts that he's made here. And note that there are two of each. One has video. So if I click on this little link, I can see a preview of the video. And what he's doing in this case, it'll take a little while to stream this.
We haven't had any issues with that, with losing audio. So far so good. This is probably going to be the one where I'm going to have the issue. The simple thing is,
anyway, you can this is a preview of what it is. So you're actually streaming this content. You're not downloading it onto your computer where you could view it offline. But these are screencasts that he's created. So basically, as he's giving a lecture, he's recording the computer screen as well as the audio that he's giving. So I'm going to close that. And the second one is then just the audio. So clicking the preview on that link.
So far we haven't had any issues with
we then just hear the audio for that particular one. So that's something, you know, a student could listen to on the bus as they're traveling, or the other, you know, since it's video, possibly play it on a mobile device. But there's a possibility that you also want to download these for use in another way. And so they are free. And if you just click on the free link, so for example, on this video one, if I click the free button, you can see over here that it's being downloaded. And once that's downloaded, it will just be a video file on my computer that I can play from iTunes. So if I wanted to play it in class, I'd be able to do that. So if I come up here to iTunes U, and here is that same lecture. It is downloaded on my computer now, so I can choose to play it again, and I'm playing it on my computer. And so I could show that in class. Okay, from here then, what we want to do then is to also let you know how you could find out where that's being stored on your computer. So if you right-clicked on it, you can get info. And the info at the very bottom, it shows you where it's being stored on your computer. So therefore, if you wanted to actually use this, you know, let's say you wanted to copy it to a thumb drive or to the cloud to be able to actually have access to it someplace else. This is, again, something that's free. You don't need to worry that you've downloaded something and you need to ask the permission of the owner of this content. However, I would encourage you, if you are using someone else's content, either for studying purposes or maybe showing one of their lectures or making it available to your own students, that you let them know that you're doing that. That's helpful information to them. Lets them, the person who created the content, who freely shared the content, know that you are acknowledging that this is good work and this is how you're using it. The other way that these can be used, if I go down and click on the iTunes Store again, is I may just want to share it, share the link to the content. So in this case, if I click the little drop-down window, I can either copy the link. I could, if I want to share it on Facebook, if I have a group of colleagues or friends who have similar interests on a topic and I want to share that content, I can do that. Or you can share the link on Twitter. In some cases, college professors use Twitter as a way to share content with their students. So I won't specifically cover either of these two, but let's just talk about the copying the link. If you copy the link, then you could go into something like Blackboard and share that URL with students to look at. And I want to quickly show you what that is going to look like because it won't be quite the same thing as maybe what you would expect. I copied that link, I'm going to paste it in here. Instead of taking you into iTunes, it takes you to a preview of it on a web page. And this is kind of nice because you can just add this preview as a link in your course, and then people have access to all of the podcasts. They can click the preview link and watch it. They can come over and click View in iTunes, which will take them to iTunes U, and they'd be able to download it there, or they'd be able to share the link or share it on Facebook or Twitter as well. So I think those are some ideas. I think we've discussed what iTunes U is. Hopefully you have a better idea after seeing it now. We've explained several ways that you can access it, both browser-based and through iTunes itself directly. We've shown that there's lots of content available on it, and I've given you some ideas of how you might use the content. Hope all this helps. Have a great day.